Hey there guys, in this video we're going to be going back to the Dark Amon fight for another perfect score. I've seen some comments from players saying they're struggling to damage cap this guy, they're using various things, and they're just not getting there. So I'm going to show you a team that should pretty easily do it. We're going to be using basically Vivi with the new Onion Knight support. Now, Onion Knight is completely free from the Mog event, so make sure you farm that up and get him. Mine is EX3. You definitely don't need EX3. I'll show you the damage breakdown afterwards. But let's go in here and get a simple clear with a relatively cheap cheap team. A lot of cheap gear. No big limited stuff, etc. We're obviously not using the Dazzle card, all that. So here you go. Let's do it. So we're going to be killing on turn 4 because my Leftia is EX2. If your Leftia is only EX1, then you can go to turn 5. It wouldn't change anything at all about this team. So on turn 1, basically we're just going to do nothing. So we're just going to hit the boss a few times with Ionic. We'll use Realm to kill herself twice to fill LB gauge, and the rest of the party can just hang out and guard. Our Louise is passive provoking with 200 water resist. You could also use buffs instead if you don't have 200 water resist gear. But because we're going to be killing on turn 4, so we're going to go ahead and have Vivi on this turn. We'll do his Life's Radiance. We can do threefold Farega, and then just, honestly, threefold Farega is not even important. So we'll just do Life's Radiance, if I could ever click, Life's Radiance, and we'll focus a few times. Onion Knight can do his shifted LB. We'll have Louise just refill LB gauge again. Realm can do the same thing. And this turn, Leftia is going to do her big amplify on Vivi. Now, honestly speaking, I think Onion Knight is technically more damage, so we could give it to Onion Knight for the meteor. But in case you don't want to enhance Onion Knight, you probably don't even need to. But we're going to do it this way. Let's go ahead and imbue the party with fire using Leftia. Did we do Onion's LB? I don't know. We're going to do it again if not. Also, Onion could be using Magic Focus to boost up for Meteor. But in case you don't have Dark Rain, we're not going to use Magic Focus. So we'll go ahead and shift, and we'll just quad cast some more focus on Vivi. Really, we're ready to kill. We're just waiting on the SLB at this point. So we'll go ahead and use Realm to do a undead killer for the party. And we'll do a Rod in Peril. We can just guard you. I guess Louise can go ahead and incapacitate. We'll use Firestarter, Power Boost, and Diverse Arsenal. Doesn't really matter. We already have Killer. Yeah, most of this is kind of irrelevant. Louise is really just here for the break. You can also use Save Your Lightning. But the field does help a little bit. So there's the Imperil, but our Louise is immune. So even if we weren't killing her on this turn, even with the Imperil, we're still immune to water, so whatever. Anyway, we are going to kill on this turn. So Steiner is going to do his LB. We'll go ahead and use Leftia's SLB for the bigger amplify for Onion Knight. Onion Knight will do Meteor, and we will use Vivi to quad cast Farega +3, and then we'll bounce that off. So because Meteor is so incredibly slow, we're going to start Meteor, and then we're going to retarget to our party and reflect. So we're going to start Meteor, then we're going to immediately target. That was a little bit too quick, actually. Now we're going to target and shift and chain it up. And that'll build the chain and cap the Meteor somewhere in there. There's the Meteor in there. And then Vivi will also get the chain count score, and because we did a bunch of Ionics with Louise, we got the weakness score, and our damage was 7.6. We only needed 3.8. So this overcapped by a lot, and our gear is terrible. I'm going to show you the gear. We are using absolutely budget gear. So you definitely don't need EX3 in those units. So here's the breakdown. So Vivi did get the 100% amplify. So this does skew the numbers a little bit, but again, Vivi is a lot easier to use than Onion Knight. So Onion Knight, all we need is his LB. So if you don't want to invest the Pure Crisp, the Awakening materials, all that for your Onion Knight, you don't need to. He does totally fine with just casting his LB for the mod boost and letting Vivi do all the damage. As you see, our Vivi did 5.1, we only needed 3.8, and that's with super, super cheap gear. If I went and like wailed out Vivi, it would be a lot better. But that's all we need, that's good enough. So there's the perfect score. So I'll show you the team. And again, the same thing with Onion Knight. He'll do significantly more damage if you wail him out, but that would be, more expensive. So what we're using is Louise as passive provoke with evasion and 200 water resist, so that we don't take any damage. Other than that, kind of whatever. She's basically here for the field and the break. If you don't have Louise, you can use Save Your Lightning for the 90 spirit break. She wouldn't have a field, but we overkilled by a lot, so you don't need the field if you don't have Louise. Steiner is kind of required because he is for the reflection. You could also use Rivera and do the quad normal. It's a really hard to time. I recommend you just get Steiner. If you don't have him, you will see him. His LB is AoE reflect, and actually even like a 5-star Steiner is fine. His LB still 4 stack reflects. Realm is for Rod and Peril and 75 Undead Killer. Now you can do way better with a better Undead Killer like Rosa or Ling, etc. Rod and Peril can be obtained from like Kuja, Aerith, or you could go for a different weapon. You could give your DPS like guns, swords. The Dark Vision sword, obviously amazing here, but that would be a little bit trickier. That's not really a budget run. And yeah, she just did Undead Killer and Rod and Peril. Vivi, base form, whatever. Shift form, we are using very cheap gear. This Brumal Cores with some recent event, his own hat, Clash Ring, a free equipment, Clash chest. We are using an Envy STMR, so, it's Elena's. She's like ancient at this point. Hopefully you have it. If not, just gear him the best you can. We overkilled by a ton, and we're using a super garbage card. Card was good once upon a time. It's not good anymore. But for budget run, we're going to use this. Now, if you give him something like Dark Rain's card, Sukiko's Rod, or like the Dark Vision Sword with the Equipped Sword, you can really make Vivi hit crazy hard in this fight. Also, things like Kuja and Garnet's STMR, both of those add flat stats to Vivi. So yeah, you can really, really push your Vivi through the roof, like almost 10,000 magic, better weapon, better imperils. He can do, I wouldn't be surprised if he can do more than 10 billion by himself, or higher. But I don't have Kuja, I don't have Garnet, so I can't really bring him to the top tier that he could potentially be. And anyway, he was maxed out on Undead Killer. And then Onion Knight, primary duty is to enable Vivi. His that's the wrong one. His LB boost up Farega, and that's a modifier boost for Vivi, and it gives Vivi a 150 per hit, per cast, whatever, reflected like 47 times. It's really amplified on Vivi, and he is the reason that Vivi is dealing relevant damage once again. But we also geared him for Meteor in a super, incredibly budget way. Now, if you want to do real Meteor damage on him, you gotta kind of bring him high end with like the Dazzle card. But the practice session card still works fine. Golbez is technically better at this, but Onion Knight can also buff up Vivi while still doing Meteor. So here's the very incredibly budget build we had for him, which is why his damage was so low. But, again, 275 Reaper Killer, and he has 4,200 magic, 7,500 magic, 4,200 MP, with a super, super cheap build. And then Leftia, just using her story gear. EX0 is fine, really. All we really need to do with her is give her the Jet Black Silk Ribbons, and that gives a 100% amplify. And then her regular LB is still a 35 fire amp, so that'd work on, Onion Knight. But really all we needed is Vivi, so EX0 Leftia is totally fine. But there's the clear, super cheap, super, super cheap, with Vivi, and you can use Onion to power him up. Also, I will mention a major problem on Global. Global recently upgraded Farega to +3 on Vivi, which is as expected. JP did the same thing. So now he has a +3 Farega, which you can enhance. Global forgot to upgrade his cooldown. So Life's Radiance, this modifier boost of Vivi, they forgot to add the +3 spells to it on Global. On JP, when he got his Farega upgrade, they also upgraded his cooldown so that it works. But because Global either forgot or intentionally skipped, probably forgot to be fair, they probably just forgot about it, they didn't upgrade his cooldown, meaning Vivi's own cooldown can no longer work with his fire spell if you enhance it. That is a major problem. It's not that big a deal. It's not a big modifier boost, but still, by enhancing Vivi, because Global only halfway upgraded him, it breaks his cooldown. His cooldown will no longer work on his own fire magic if you upgrade it. So maybe you can like send them a support ticket so they realize this and they fix that next maintenance. But otherwise, unless I'm assuming they just don't realize they broke Vivi by accident, because you know they upgraded his fire, they forgot to upgrade his cooldown, and now Vivi's own cooldown will not work on himself, and that's kind of a problem. So maybe send them a support ticket and let them know, and if enough people let them know, maybe they'll put a news bulletin out and say, "Oops, we broke it. We'll fix it next maintenance," and he'll be fixed. Anyway, there's another Aim and Clear. See you in a bit.